What's up, guys? Hey, how we doing? So today I'm going to talk about the 250s. Max Anstie got it done, and he was an unlikely winner. We know he's fast. I didn't have him for the win. I don't know if you guys did. Kitchen is having a rough season, and I know this is actually only his first race, but it's been a rough 2025 for Levi Kitchen so far. And I have an update. We saw Chase Sexton slow after that crash in the whoops. A lot of people were speculating that he was injured. I found out what it was. And thank you to everyone who has subscribed. Every single video I post, the powers that be report it as offensive and all the different things that they do to try to slow it down. So if you subscribe, it helps me out, helps the algorithm. And then just if you are subscribed, just double check, make sure you're still subscribed. We had an issue in the past where people were randomly being unsubscribed. I hope everybody that was getting their samples of Nano-Xtreme is enjoying it. This stuff has been life-changing for me. And like I said, don't take my word for it. Email me your address at chriscookseymedia@gmail.com. Put your name, address, and email so I can copy and paste it, and I will get you out a sample. I'm so happy there's something that helps with pain that is not a pill or a pharmaceutical. So head over to Nano-Xtreme, use code Cooksey for free checkout. Use code Cooksey for free shipping. Coach Rob dropped his Jeremy Martin video, and at the end of this one, I'm going to put a link directly to that Jeremy Martin video. Coach is one of the smartest guys, and I really like his What's Next interviews that he started doing. So check out the Jeremy Martin interview.
You need people like me so you can point your fucking fingers and say, that's the bad guy.
All right, I got to start with a couple corrections. So I owe Dave Ginolfi an apology. I thought that he was Travis Clark, and I got them mixed up. Travis Clark, the agent that screwed over Lucas Myrtle, really kind of a scoundrel in my opinion. I put Dave Ginolfi's picture because I saw him walking with Jacob Hayes, and I thought that was him. My bad, Dave Ginolfi. Don't be mad at Dave Ginolfi. As far as I know, he's a great guy. And I said yesterday that Roxon kicked Benny Bloss's front wheel. Actually, it was Joey Savacci who had checked up and didn't run him over. So a couple things I just wanted to straighten out. So Chase Sexton had that crash in the main event, and it wasn't that bad of a crash by Chase Sexton standards, but he did not, when he got back up, he did not have the intensity. Something was wrong. A lot of people speculated it was an injury. Well, I did some research and found out he had broke his throttle. So he had to finish that main event with a throttle that was either wide open or all the way off. Listen, hats off, man. To salvage what he did with that broken throttle, Sexton's a badass. There's no other way to spin it. And I have a couple thoughts on the broadcast. A lot of you guys complain about Will Christian. Well, I don't mind her that much, but I know a lot of you guys don't like her. I'll tell you what, she is 100 times better than this Katie Osborne girl. I don't know her. I don't know anything about her, but she looks like she's standing there like a deer in the headlights reading a teleprompter. So I don't know about you guys, but I prefer Will Christian over her. And I just want to ask, why does Ricky say some of the stuff he says? He always says, keep an eye on that, like the sand section. Keep an eye on it. Guess what, moron? I'm keeping an eye on wherever the camera goes. I'm not in the stadium. You're talking to the TV audience. Now, if he's in the stadium and you tell people, keep an eye on this section, that makes sense. But he just keeps doing it. Like, we are going to keep an eye wherever the camera does. Tell your camera guy to keep an eye on that section. Don't tell us. It's so dumb. Can somebody please let him know this? And can somebody get him like a shot caller for when he repeats the same stuff? Hate this, remember when we talked about? It'll be interesting. Like, he just says the same phrases over and over. If somebody could just give him a shot caller and kind of break that habit and let him actually give real information. But okay, that's enough about Ricky. So Max Anstie, another one of these plus 30 riders. He's over 30 years old. I believe he's 31 in the 250 class, but he has taken a unique path there. He started in Supercross here as a 16-year-old kid. Then he went to the GPs, and he was a sand specialist in the GPs, which makes me think that that's part of the reason he was so good the other night. And I'll be honest, I did not have him winning this race. I figured he'd be solid because Max is just, he's good. He's good on any conditions. He's crazy good in real sand. I still think Pierce, had he not clipped that tough block, was going to close that thing out and get the win. And I'm gutted for poor Pierce, man. That is tough. And they're downplaying that injury, saying, oh yeah, he'll be back to racing. I'm sorry, this is a serious injury, and he came very, very close to being paralyzed. Add to that the severe head injury. It was nasty, man, and I just hope that he is back to racing and 100%, but this one is going to be difficult and hard for Pierce to come back from. I have no doubt that he has the heart and will to do that. Dang, this sport is brutal. So with all these early season favorites, RJ, Kitchen, Forkner, having issues at this first round, and Max goes out there. Here's the thing about Max. He's going to be consistent. He's not going to give away a ton of points. I mean, unless the bike breaks, because he usually doesn't make mistakes. He's going to be there. He's going to force these guys to win races. Max Anstie has set himself up in a perfect position to win this championship. And if I'm RJ Hampshire or Levi Kitchen, I'm a little bit stressed out this week knowing the guy with consistency already has a win under his belt. Oh boy, it's going to be difficult. How about Dax Bennick? Man, I'm not going to lie. I did not have him on the radar the way he finished out his rookie season. So if you'll remember, he was on the podium at the first round last year, and everyone's like, wow, rookie on the podium. And I don't want to take away from that at all. It was an amazing feat. But that same night was a night when half the field piled up in the first turn. He didn't straight out beat some of the best guys to earn the podium. You get it. You take him however you can get him. And I shouldn't say he didn't earn it, because he earned it, because he got out there and fought and got that third place. But it's not one of the ones where you look at and go, oh, he can repeat this every single week. What he did in Tampa looks like he can repeat it every single week. Dax Bennick has fixed whatever problems he had. So he had those fatigue issues. He had a rough year, man. And the thing about fatigue and the chronic fatigue syndrome these guys get, Coach Rob preaches the number one reason these guys, they train so hard, they're traveling, so there's a lot of stress. Then you add to that, and I hate to bring this up, but I'm going to, because I think this is a very valid to Dax's story. He had a girlfriend who really did him wrong. And I think that additional stress added to not being able, the weekends are always stressful. You hope to get back during the week, decompress. If you got a girlfriend who was done the way that he was done, I understand. And I think that contributed a lot to him getting chronic fatigue. Looks like all that's worked itself out. The kid is strong. And with the confidence he built out there to battle and earn that second place straight up, he could win races. I think he, much like Julian Beaumer in the West, when he got that second place at Anaheim and you saw this huge jump in confidence, I think you could see a similar jump in Dax Bennick. If he can get a win in the next couple rounds, oh boy, these guys might be in trouble, because we know how much talent Dax has. It was the fatigue and all the other issues that he had going on last year and kind of fell off the radar. With all that fixed, if you ever watch his Instagram, he has some of the best bike skills of anyone out there. He's a good kid. And I'm so happy that he's back up on the podium and looking smiling and happy, even though they absolutely screwed him by docking him 5 points. So they're claiming he jumped when they threw the red flag for Pierce. But I have the actual video the AMA sent to Star Racing where they said, oh, this is where he did it. And I don't know who at the AMA made this call, but literally as Dax is going around the turn before this triple, he is committed to the triple when they throw the red flag or the red lights on the triple. And these guys, they are aware, while they need red flags and yellow flags to help them, they are also aware when there's danger in front. He knew at that triple jump, there's no danger. Nobody's out there. There's no lappers yet. It was, in his mind, 100% clear. So he wasn't watching for, or in the back of his mind, knowing that there could be an issue. So they pop the red lights on as he's just like approaching the triple. What's he supposed to do? He has to triple. And this wasn't something that affected the race. This is as they're heading into the red flag situation. Now, if Pierce was laying at the bottom of that triple and he did it, I understand. This is one of the worst judgment calls by the AMA that I've seen in a long time. And speaking of these red cross flags, so you have the technology to put a leader light on everyone's bike, right? So that green light, you're trying to tell me you can't get a red light on the handlebars and let guys know when they can and can't triple? Some of the things in this sport just drive me crazy. They claim they don't have the technology or the people to do it, but when they need to do it to get ratings for the sponsor money, it happens like that. But when it has to do with rider safety, they drag their feet. Now, if Dax had been mid-turn and he had a red light on his handlebars that just went off, maybe he could have stopped. But the way he committed out of that turn for that triple, come on, he has to triple. They should give him his points back. That was garbage. If you're going to penalize anybody, you should have penalized Tom Vialle. On that restart, the rule technically states you can't pass a guy. Well, he came within about 3 inches of passing a guy. The rule is intended to stay in line past that chalk line. It might be written a little bit vague to where technically Tom didn't break the rule, but come on. Now, is passing when you actually get your wheel in front of them, or does passing start when you 100% in the process of passing when they hit that white line? I think if you're going to penalize anyone, you penalize Tom for that. You guys they need to stay in line until they get past that chalk. The race hasn't started yet until they get to that chalk line. And it's single file, not 3 inches. That's what it's supposed to be and intended to be. So if anyone should have got a penalty, it should have been Tom Vialle. The knock on Tom has been whoops. And of course, in practice, he had a horrendous crash. I'm glad he wasn't hurt. I mean, it was very similar to Pierce Brown's crash, but luckily he didn't land into a whoop. He kind of landed in between or on the downside, so he got very lucky, but it was a nasty crash. And it could have ended his night, his season, but he was okay. He made it through the evening. He clearly was feeling banged up or confidence. You know how it is when you have that huge crash, it really just saps you. He salvaged what he could, still has a chance at this title, and good on him, but he is going to have to figure out how to get whoops. The whoops are definitely more aggressive this year. They have made a real effort to make them real whoops. Last year, he kind of lucked out. All those rain races, the whoops were flat. He didn't have to battle that. If he wants to win this championship, he is going to have to figure out the whoops. I like what I saw out of Seth Hammaker. Seth Hammaker, he is one of the most underrated 250 guys. He's won races before. Seth Hammaker is a badass, and he goes out there to race. And when he's not dealing with fatigue issues, he can flat out ride. And I fully expect him to be in the battle for podiums and wins throughout this season. He looks like a more mature version. He looks like the kind of guy that steps up from being a guy who could possibly win and podium to a guy who will contend for this championship. That's what I saw out of Seth Hammaker. He looks really good. Check out Ride Strapped. Get your privateer shirt, get your goggles, your glasses, and come see us at Daytona. I'll have a sign-up sheet here pretty soon. The Sunday after the Daytona Supercross, we're having a cookout for about 20 people. So I'll have a sign-up sheet, and if you're in Daytona and you want to come have a beverage or burger with us, come on over. Hit up ridestrap.com. Precision Transport, the best shipping company you'll ever deal with, and that I promise. They're a family-owned business that believes in customer service, reasonable pricing, and they're moto fans. So help out Precision Transport. If you're shipping anything, hit up pretransport.com. Motobilia. Oh, get this, guys. So members, all you members are going to be ecstatic when you see what we're giving away in March. A Cooper Webb Red Bull helmet in March. We'll be giving away a Rick Johnson Bad Boy jersey. That's the classic jersey we're giving away in February, and some Nano to the members. But can you believe they're donating a Red Bull Cooper Webb helmet to one of the members? Thank you, Motobilia. Check out that site. It's pretty badass. So the human highlight reel of the East Coast Supercross, RJ Hampshire, didn't disappoint. Of course, he's fast. He's never not fast. He's never out there just lollygagging. RJ goes full send. And yes, he got locked up in a wrestling match with that gigantic Triumph Tough Block. Now, I'm hard on Tough Blocks, but I'm sorry. That was RJ's fault. Those big flat round ones, I'm all for those. Those are some of the safest track markers you can have. That's on RJ. I'm not going to go after Tough Blocks for that one. The ones I have an issue with are the ones in the rhythm sections. Those big round ones, I'm sorry. RJ, you can't go over that one. I'm sorry. That's on you, dude. If you don't want to get caught in that one, don't hit it. I mean, at some point, we have to keep the guys on the track. And that one there, I'm going to go ahead and side with the Tough Block over RJ. But RJ will give these guys fits the rest of this season, and he is going to be smoking mad going into Detroit. And if I was doing power rankings on who I thought was going to win Detroit, I put RJ right at the top. I have to think every single time he lines up, he could win the race. Chance Hymas looked pretty good out there, considering he's coming off ACL reconstruction, and he'd only ridden a few times going into this event. He's doing exactly what he needs to. Smart, smooth, getting points. If he can get through Detroit with a similar finish, then they get a week off. And when they come back after that week off, I think you're going to see a different Chance Hymas. You're going to see a guy who's got his racing legs back underneath him. I'm not going to judge his speed or performance until after he gets a little break, and that will be really good for him. But he's got to get through this weekend and put in a performance just like he did. So it's weird to say this, but Levi Kitchen 2025 has been a disaster. I know he's only competed in one race, but the fact that he was supposed to go west, talked all that trash with Deegan, then he got sick, and I know he was very sick, and I do think it was a smart move, and I don't think he's afraid of Deegan, but it's funny, and that's why I said the Deegan Dodgers. It's funny, guys, chill. But you can't look at the East Coast field and not think a lot of guys were kind of wanting to avoid Hayden Deegan. They were. Now, were they afraid of him? No, but they want the best shot to win. And with the way Hayden finished out 2024, I wouldn't want to race him either. The dude's a savage. But to call in sick in Anaheim, get through all that, and take the internet heat that Levi took, and I do feel bad about that, but I mean, that's part of the game these days. You guys have to, they have to understand when you call out and battle publicly with Hayden Deegan, and no matter the reason, it doesn't matter why he didn't show up. He didn't show up. So of course he's going to get heat. But I will say this, Levi steers into it. He's a badass, and he will get it going. He's too talented not to be up front. I think you're going to see a different guy in Detroit and for the rest of the season. He just needed to get that first race under his belt, get all the off-season distractions out of his head, and focus on the race at hand. And I think he'll be able to do that moving forward. How about Cullen Park? Did any of you guys have that? I didn't. If you talked about Cullen Park, I know he was really good in World Supercross, but he's a big dude. So I questioned him on that 250 just a little bit because he is not a small kid. I mean, he's got to be pushing 180 pounds. That's not easy going against these small, skinny kids, but he rode the wheels off that Phoenix Honda. Sometimes these 250 riders, you see them and they look good, but then you see guys like Cullen Park, and I see flashes of greatness. He looks like a guy who's going really fast, but I think he's got a lot more. And I really think Cullen Park, given the right opportunity, is a guy who could have a long career in the sport, but he can't stay on that 250 much longer. Like I said, he's a large dude. He could have a very good 450 career and stay in this sport for a long time. I don't know what the ceiling is for Cullen Park, but it's pretty darn high. And I got to see the long-awaited Austin Forkner return, and also his new team, first time in his pro career, being on anything but the Pro Circuit Kawasaki. And it was a letdown. It's not necessarily his fault. He had the illness, and I feel for these guys because I've said it on this channel quite a few times before. Illnesses these days are getting worse, and I think it has to do with, well, I beat it to death, the gain of function, all that crap. I think that is a lot of the reason that these illnesses are getting more severe. And the fact that he was able to ride through it, he didn't salvage many points, but he got a little bit. But what it does do for Austin Forkner now is it takes a lot of pressure off him. They don't have to talk about championship. They could just take it race by race and get him in there. I think the goal is just to get him up front, get him on the podium, and get a win. The championship, I don't think they're even going to talk about that until near the end. So I think having a bad performance at round one, as much as you don't want it, it will actually help his approach to the rest of the season. And I'm excited to see what Forkner can do with no pressure on this Triumph bike. Because Jordan Smith proved that bike can win races, and it's really good. And what Forkner's coming back from, the brain surgery, how do you not cheer for a guy who went through that and actually is continuing his career? I don't know how you couldn't kind of have a soft spot for Austin Forkner and hope he gets some good results. Speaking of guys overcoming quite a bit, Max Voland, they downplayed the injury he had last year at the practice track with his hip, but it did serious damage. So much damage that he uses a handbrake on the left side. I don't even know how you control the handbrake and the clutch, but Max is one of those extremely talented riders who, if there's anyone that can adapt, it's him. And he looked really strong out there on that bike. I think in the first practice, the untimed, but they actually had times, he was third fastest. And they had to build a special brake for that bike. And yes, it's 100% legal. It's the same frame. I don't think having a handbrake is any sort of advantage. It could have been in that right-hand turn. But come on, like really? If it was that big of an advantage, the other guys would figure out how to put one on just for that race. But he did have an issue with it and had a DNF, but no problem. Max just needs to get out there, get used to it, and prove to himself. And that's the biggest thing, is to prove to himself that he can do it despite what he's dealing with in that foot and the nerve injuries. And I'm just a Max Voland fan. I love watching Club MX and how Brandon Haas and Mike B develop their talent. They really are in their guy's corner. And I was bummed to see Mark Finnis not make the main event. The American Psycho will get into some main events here pretty soon. Yeah, that's the nickname I like for Mark Finnis, the American Psycho. And I ran it past him to make sure it was cool. But if you see pictures of him, he's terrifying. But he's one of the nicest guys out there. But he means business. And I think he'll find his legs here pretty soon and start making mains and start building. Thank you, members. So make sure if you got the membership, there's about 130 of you guys now. I will randomly pick one of you guys for the Rick Johnson Bad Boy jersey. It's a classic. We'll be giving that away in February. In March, we are giving away a Cooper Webb Red Bull helmet. Yeah, you heard that right. I was like, wait, you're going to give away what?